the participants who are attending. Spending a little bit of your evening with poetry is as much a luxury for me, the poet, and hopefully something of pleasure for you as well. I will mostly be reading from my collection, The Altar of the Old World. And this book is it's mythologically based. Most of the poems are in the voice of Sita in exile. And I thought I would begin with 3 poems in which somebody else speaks to Sita. The first of these is in the voice of Shurpanakha. It's called Beauty. You came to me at sunset, so that at first you could not discern cicatrix from skin. The hour of occultation painted this face orange and black, like a Theyyam dancer or a tiger lily. And you asked me, how do you breathe? And I said, the heart. And you had no need then to ask how I listened. But it was you who ached with even a whisper. When we lifted you out of the river, your hair was constellated with fireflies, and from your open mouth gushed brocaded gold. Everything inside and around you was still alive, but your eyes were the last to open, and tight in your grip were silver bracelets that had slipped from your wrists, too large after those months of parting. The crescent cleaved to your belly like a pepper vine. I was there to watch you then, as I am here to walk with you now, along this avenue of concertinaed lanterns, in this grove where the leaves dance with epigrams, and there is no need for mirrors to prove the always true. Remember yourself beneath the fissured face of the pregnant moon. To love is to lose, to learn the art of afterlife. And when you walk between shadows, your face too becomes dismembered by light. And then this poem, Fire-Forged, Bloodborne, is in the voice of Draupadi as she speaks to Sita. At the core of every blood epic is a woman born of battle lust, the one whose body is a weighted dice in a game rigged by fork-tongued grammar. She comes through deep magic. We are proof of what happens when a curse is inverted, how from grail of blood and fire sacrifice emerged the true twice-born, who having transcended time, move equidistant between worlds. See yourself in my eyes, soul sister. You and I and we are she. She who holds the womb songs of vivid stars as she does the darkness between planets, fire gentle as afternoon tide at her feet, blood resplendent at the parting of her hair. And finally, this poem is in the voice of Arundhati, a loyal one. Nocturne with crossed stars. Hold this moonflower in your mouth. Let it nectar your listenings and silences both. There's a hawk moth arcing towards eternity, its wings tipped with dark matter and stardust. The way is dappled by the timbre of your name in one voice or another. Who named you, beloved? Who brought you here? The heart is a copper drum too heavy to lift, so it rests wherever it is laid on the earth, verdigris with love for forest and water. Listen to its sacred tremors on this evening of incantations. The astronomers did not know what proxy to hold you in place by, shell or seed, cabochon or coin from a place where the language conveys no unequivocal sense of time. Everything is happening at once and never happens, ever or now. Somewhere there is a bow unbroken that is pointed forever at the constellations, a string that pulses almost imperceptibly. It only feels like an epiphany as thought vibrates slowly into sound. You must hold very still to unveil the illusion, to know the darkness from the night, to infer the unknown from that which is known, or the shy star from the ones that glitter without giving light. So I'll continue to read from this book. This is called Shapeshifter. So now the remainder of the poems that I'll share are mostly in C++. In those years of hallucinatory dreaming, I was convinced that when you returned, it would be in some inconceivable form. A trick of light, a shadowless being, a beauty so startling that mirrors would withdraw, opaque as the winter lakes of northern countries. I looked for you everywhere. I thought you were coded in the wind, a sunburst, a falling star, a golden deer, my longing drawn taut as a bowstring. I could have sighted you in any guise. One grows watchful in the wilderness, believes everything possible. I would have taken you in any shape, any apparition you arrived in, man or beast, illusion or evidence, demon or god, any shape you could have come in, if only you had come. This is Echo. The forest captured the sound of your voice, as though within a conch. I held its chimera to my ear and let it wrench through my life, the way fools listen to humming shells, not recognizing the song of their own blood tide, not trusting their bodies capable of encapsulating the sea. In this poem, she reflects or observes Ahalya. Fulfillment. The wish-fulfilling tree was a flame of the forest, bleeding its petals over the spine of a woman who had rather curved into stone than to never have known what it's like to be loved lushly. I didn't know yet what desire was. I couldn't tell it apart from mere devotion. But I sat to watch a little while as the world breathed on her behalf, petal by petal, drip by drip. And one of my favorite stories from the various Ramayana renditions is that Sita was Mandodari's child. So this is daughter by blood and by way of sea and sky. My mother, who drank a grail of blood, squatted by the seashore and lullabied me into a casket of sandalwood and sweet reeds. Women have done this by dawn light, since first doubt, first prophecy. She pushed me forth into the tides, touched by no water or salt that had not come from her eyes or mine. Did she know how I would arrive back on the island, chatter as in a dice game, an apparition my hair black cirrus. I swooped from the sky, spilling ornaments, spilling invectives and incantations, spilling princess blood from places caressed by claws. Every crown I lost had been worn seated on a lap. Not throne I lost, but warmth of thigh. Ask me what I knew of islands, and I will unring each key in an archipelago of lyric-locked song, lip-latched colostrum, scent of sudden rain in the tea-terraced mountains. How I drew my breath in as chariot shadow loomed over ocean-sieged land, how my terror made way for memory, memory, memory. This poem is not so much in Sita's voice as it is an homage to various goddesses, including the Sumerian Inanna, among others, who have led us into dark passages where we face ourselves. This is Lioness, sister whose face looked into my shame with leonine splendor, mercy and grace infinite in carnelian radiance, serpents noosed in her fingers, stars thrown into disarray with a shake of her mane, her body obsidian, human. There in the dust of a lazuli cavern, it was myself she taught me to fight. Shadow and surface interlocked like triangles in sacred diagram. It was myself she taught me to honor on the stepwell into and out from the sanctum. It is intricate. My ignites are there for you who seek passage. Listen for her echo in the abyss. How she said, in lieu of blood, learn to offer red oleander. In lieu of promises, learn to offer the viscera of tears. This is benediction for the feast. Come to my table, my beloveds, my betrayers. Let me feed you from the bowl of life. Cross my threshold, empty of palm, open of heart, eager of belly. I have picked only fruit already fallen, and herb without malice, and flesh anointed and absolved. I have placed a carnation beside each of your knives. Here's to the sweetness, here's to the sting, and here's to the saltwater sacrament. Here's to the dreaming, here's to the dead, and here's to the sacred delusion. Take the hollow at the center of your being and price it open to be savaged by grace, to be alchemized by love, to be filled with the dark and the holy, the sublime and the terrible. Bloom fierce and wild and splendorous, drink deep and without qualm. There's enough for us all. I would like to end with a sequence of poems that is not in that book. These poems were inspired by the Murti Rahasya appendix to the Devi Mahatmya, and they feature 5 incarnations of the goddess. The secret of secrets. Vindhyavasini, the mountain dweller. I will arrive as delusion, aureate, encumbered by ornaments, a decoy who vanishes in glimmer and plumage, the volcano of your life in my beak. Come after it. The hunt will lead you to the promontory at the edge of time, where I will, Lady of mountain ranges and pilgrim surrender, recognizable in shadows, apparitions, and echoes, the whisper of an opiate wind that will bring you sleep to dream, the dream of sleep. Raktadandika, the red-fanged one. I will arrive ensanguined, dripping rubies, menstrual, shaking weapons of slaughter, my talons terrible, my tresses heavy and hemic, bloodshot of gaze, crimson of complexion, each of my teeth a pomegranate arrow. I shall husband you as I have husbanded the incarnadine empire and midwifed the universe, still and moving and still. Sakambari, the blue-bodied earth. I will arrive in labor, the cosmos of my body suspended beyond gravity, issuing the world forth from my womb. Behold me as I give birth to the sky, my colostrum the first rain, my navel a quasar in which all time dissolves, my cunt crowned by the tree of life. I shall deliver you out of the world and into the forest as many times as it will take you to learn how not to burn it down. Kala Ratri, the darkest night. I will arrive in lightlessness and insomnia, a pulse of desire, vigilance, ceaselessness, fearsome and nocturne beautiful, a scimitar of lightning across the sky of my skin, bearing the milk of forgetting and a cup to raise it to your lips, so even you, a head severed from the meaning of your life, can slumber free, absolved of grief and guilt, and the blindness that comes from having stared too deeply into the sun. Brahmari, the beekeeper. I will arrive in pestilence, a swarm of stirred petals and sacred geometry, the hive of my hair fragrant, adorned with honeycombs, the apiary of my hips ever fertile. Here is the orchard of the deepest secret, deepest ecstasy, deepest mystery. Raise your lips to this nectar. It is the elixir of all that has lived for itself or loved another. Come into my garden and see for yourself how inviolable its light, how sweet its sting. Thank you. Bye. On the topic of sacred geometry, this is sorrowless. In this garden where women weave bracelets of bougainvillea stems, stabbing each thorn into a blossom of another color, and this sorrowless tree rains upon me, so blades of fallen gold coronate my hair. I unlearn lexicons of lives. A captive is a captive even if every footstep she walks stakes a claim on the earth. She who is sovereign knows why the most sacred of geometries must never be drawn except in impermanences, in sand, in speech, in salt. This one is scorched earth. The end of love is not death itself, nor a bridge turning the water saffron with the reflection of its burning. I have made that crossing, and I have walked my way back, not on my knees, but on singed soles, singing, my torch tongue blackened from truth-telling. How do you know that nothing burnt of me in that tribunal of sorrow? There are darkened places in me that were never there before, and I rise and fall every day with the prayer to never again know them. No, death is nothing like the end of love, with its tender roots and long burning. But we become what we endure. So I myself am an exodus, a pilgrimage route paved with roses the color of live coals. I myself am hallowed ground. This is fire walking, dusk carnival, the ocean opening her arms as the camphor is lit, and among the megas perfect concord. But no war is over until the last woman stops wailing. My fists were full of hibiscus, and under my feet the embers were small, star-stung implosions. Where is there room for fear in the heart of one who has held all the love and consequence in the known and invisible worlds? Perhaps you who watched with hooded eyes saw only my pyre, but the earth herself was dilated beneath my seared steps. And when I emerged from the caldera of her womb, I was incandescent, my heart singed, bittersweet.